Browns back at it today, getting ready to face the 49ers at Huntington Bank Field on Sunday. And of course, the headliner here is Shedeur Sanders making his second consecutive start. He spoke today, Mary Kay, kind of a muted version of Shedeur Sanders, but you can kind of sense the excitement, around his teammates, around the fan base. Of course, a lot of people excited to see what he can do in his first home start and his second start in a row.
That's right. And I think he toned it down a little bit today just to show that he's grinding and that he's working really hard and that he's focused on what he has to do, because he took a little bit of heat for, some of the stuff that he said after the game on the field and whatnot. But he's really doing the same thing that he did leading up to that Raiders start, and that is he's got his nose in the playbook. He's working very, very hard with Kevin Stefanski, and I think he's working one-on-one with other guys like Jerry Jeudy to try to make sure that they're on the same page, because that's one of the things he's going to have to do to build on that performance, and that is get his primary receivers involved in the football game. So I think that's a priority.
Yeah, Ashley, I think he used the phrase grind mode at one point, that he's in grind mode already this week. So obviously Shedeur doing what he needs to do to get ready to face this Robert Saleh-led 49ers defense.
Yeah, and we've talked about it. This defense is interesting, right? They're not going to have two of their bigger playmakers in Nick Bosa and Fred Warner, the linebacker. The Browns have obviously played those guys before, and they've given them trouble. But Joel Bitonio today talked about, hey, this is still a defense that even if the sacks aren't there, they're towards the bottom of the league or at the bottom of the league in terms of sacks as a team with only 13. They'll still attack. They'll still look for openings, even though they're down some key personnel. So we know Robert Saleh is so good at game planning, and it's going to be an interesting matchup still.
Now, speaking of getting on the same page as his playmakers, we did talk to Jerry Jeudy today. He was in a much better mood when we talked to him. His answers were not as short, and he did have an opportunity, Mary Kay, to explain what happened on that long pass play that resulted in Jeremy Chinn knocking the football out.
That's right. He was about to make a move so that he could get more yards after the catch is what he was trying to do. And it just didn't work out right. He didn't realize that Jeremy was right behind him, ready to punch that ball out. And it's uncharacteristic of Jerry Jeudy and unfortunate, because he made a really nice catch and Shedeur made a really nice throw on that play. And it could have gone, it ended up at the 33 of the Raiders. It could have gone for a field goal or a touchdown, and that was really an unfortunate part of that football game. But it is true that Jerry Jeudy and Shedeur, they've got to get it together. The Browns need to get more out of Jeudy.
Yeah, Ashley, just added to a frustrating, I guess we can't call it highlight reel, a frustrating low-light reel for what has been a disappointing season so far for Jerry Jeudy.
Yeah, and Jerry also addressed the press conference last week that, was kind of getting a lot of play on social media and talk radio, very short 3-word answers. And, he made the comment that it's not always about football. He has a life outside of football. It sounds like it was related to that. He was much more his usual demeanor. But look, these are struggles I think Jerry Jeudy has gone through throughout his career. There's been a lot of quarterback turnover here in Cleveland for him the last 2 years. That was the story of his career in Denver. He's been through a lot. He talked about today, all he can do is run routes, try to make plays, catch passes, but they definitely need more out of him for this offense to be as explosive as it needs to be successful.
Okay, 4 sacks against the Ravens was not enough to win Myles Garrett Defensive Player of the Week last week. It was a make-good week this week. He had 3 more against the Raiders, and now he is the AFC Defensive Player of the Week. Of course, winning that game helps in a lot of aspects, but Mary Kay, we could go through. There's a case probably to be made that Myles Garrett should have 5 or 6 of these here at this point this season.
He really should, and he is on his way to another NFL Defensive Player of the Year award. I don't see how they are not going to be able to give that to him, even if these guys are not headed for the playoffs. But Kevin Stefanski, of course, talked about the fact that although those sacks are wonderful, they love the fact that he's been so amazing in run defense this season.
Yeah, and he has been really good setting that edge. I remember even going all the way back to that Week 2 game in Baltimore. He was making plays in the run game. And Ashley, that's always been something, because he's such an aggressive pass rusher. Sometimes you could get him on a delayed run, something like that. And he's taking a lot of those plays away now, too.
No, he is. I think about one really good play he made on Sunday going against Ashton Genty, who the Browns talked last week that Genty was having a much better season than his stats said. Obviously, he was like the top back in last year's draft class. So you are seeing Myles add that element to his game. And I do think it's interesting, this idea of, I feel like in the previous weeks where he had these multi-sack games, he was maybe penalized because the Browns didn't win. I know I saw J.J. Watt going to bat for him on that especially these Player of the Week awards, it should just be the best defensive player. He's not in total control of the wins or losses. So good to see him finally get one of those this year.
Okay, we will cover everything as the Browns get ready to play the 49ers on Thanksgiving week at cleveland.com/Browns.